An after-party turned sour for happy students celebrating the end of the Common Entrance Examination. That's the story we're tracking in your Barbados Today Evening News Update for Tuesday, May the 8th. Thanks for joining us. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. The Hilton Barbados Resort was the scene of a mass casualty this evening as a number of children were injured at the resort. The students attending the Hilton's 11 Plus It's Over event were playing in a jumping slide when it overturned. At news time, 4 children were taken to hospital via ambulance. Police Public Relations Officer Acting Inspector Rodney Innes gave a full update at the scene.
We discovered there were a number of persons injured, and that started a mass casualty situation by us as a protocol. As a result, a number of ambulances came to the location, specifically four. There were, let me first say that our investigation showed that there was an incident here, an event here for children, some of whom were celebrating having set the 11 Plus exam. It's estimated there were about 200 children participating here in the event and about 90 to 100 adults here at the location. What we have learned so far is that there are a number of activities, including a jumping tent that was erected on the southern side of the tennis court. There were many children playing on that tent when, unfortunately, the tent fell, resulting in injury to a number of those children. We are still trying to get the final number, as you can appreciate. 4 children have gone off to the hospital, the accident emergency of the Queen Elizabeth Hospital thus far. There are a number of persons still on site receiving treatment, but I will say to you, so far we've had the response from the Barbados Defense Force. They have 1 ambulance, 2 EMTs, and a driver. The fire department is headed by the Deputy Chief Fire Officer, and he has 2 tenders and 7 personnel presently on scene. The ambulance service, they're being supervised by Assistant Ambulance Officer, Mr. Trevor Bino. They have 4 ambulances, and there are 3 doctors on site. For the police, we have a number of police officers who have cordoned the area. We've done an inner cordon in the general area and an outer cordon all the way out to the roadway. We are doing our investigations. We have been speaking to many of the children, as you can see here, and their parents and their guardians, and we've been collecting information. At this stage, that's as much as we can say to you at this point in time.
The Ministry of Education, meanwhile, says it's saddened by the incident and it pledged to monitor the condition of the injured students. Hours earlier, there was a collective sigh of joy and relief as children emerged from exam centers across the island. Students shared mixed views on how the exam went today. Our Anma Gurridge Boys tells us more.
The hard work is finally finished. Common Entrance 2018 done and dusted. It's time to relax and unwind. And as you can see behind me, these students are definitely in celebration mode.
The day, regarded as a stressful one, started out just around 8:30 a.m. when a total of 3,246 primary school pupils entered examination centers across the island. While students put pen to paper for 4 hours, nervous parents waited outside. When the examination finished at 1 p.m., the majority of pupils emerged contented with this year's papers.
For me, it was good because math is not one of my strongest subjects, but it was quite easy. Only for some of them, you have to reason them properly. And for the English, it wasn't as bad, although they had some tricky questions in the section B. It was still a good performance, and the composition, I do good in that usually, so it was kind of like a breeze for me.
I would say that it was decent, not easy, because if I did bad in it and I said it was easy, I would look like an idiot, so I say it was decent.
It was kind of manageable, but with the maths in the section 3, it was kind of hard, but it was good.
Students will now have to wait and see what secondary schools they will attend when the new school year opens in September. And Gurridge Boys, Barbados Today.
In other news this Tuesday, hot on the heels of criticism that it has been touting unrealistic promises to Barbadians, the Barbados Labour Party assures it's not promising any overnight miracles. The BLP has been under fire from the Democratic Labour Party for outlining its plan to increase non-contributory pensions, scrap the National Social Responsibility Levy, reduce the value-added tax, and buy buses and garbage trucks, among other things. BLP General Secretary Jerome Walcott says Barbadians will have to sacrifice more, but he says the party will put people first.
We're not promising any overnight miracles. We have to clean up the mess the Dems are leaving and restore order to the management of our economic affairs. There will be a continual need for sacrifices in some form, but we believe Barbadians are reasonable and understand this. But what will differentiate us from the Dems is the caring, sensitive, and compassionate approach we will bring in everything we do. People will always matter and will always come first for us. More importantly, we will be different because history shows that the BLP, more than the Dems, is always able to inspire confidence among Barbadians through our management of the economy.
No communication devices such as smartphones, smartwatches, and smart pens will be allowed in the polling stations on election day. Word of this from the Supervisor of Elections, Angela Taylor, who says all communication devices and other personal effects must be left at the desk before proceeding to the polling booth. She said voters will then retrieve their personal effects on the way out after they have marked their ballot and completed voting. Taylor also revealed that polling booths will be positioned so each voter enters with his or her back to the presiding officer. She explained that this change will allow the presiding officer to see the voters are not using any concealed electronic communication devices. The Supervisor of Elections gave the assurance that privacy and the secrecy of the vote will be preserved.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
One night, one winner, only one team can deliver. Balance, comprehensive, unrivaled coverage. Barbados Today, Capital Media HD 99.3, and 6 Gear Studios. Don't miss election night on www.facebook.com/Barbados Today, on www.barbadostoday.bb, live on www.capitalmediahd.com, and on www.facebook.com/CapitalMediaHD.
Welcome back with news from the region now. Trinidad and Tobago's Finance Minister Com Imbert is promising to deliver some good news on Thursday. The economy is reportedly showing positive signs following a hike in revenue from natural gas production. However, economists are warning the government to be cautious.
I've been talking about what appears to be the stabilization of the economy, and we're seeing some growth, and yes, I will be talking about that.
That growth, his ministry said last week, came from improvements in natural gas production. But Dr. Valmiki Arjun says the revenue from new gas will be modest and short-lived, with little impact on the government's balance sheet.
This is an artificial and a bit of a deceptive growth at the same point in time, because this is not a reflection of any new policy or initiative being put forward. I mean, this is actually us reaping the benefits of what investments and capital expenditure energy companies would have undertaken about 4 years in the past.
He's concerned the state is continuing to cling to oil and gas for money.
And on the international front, President Donald Trump has pulled the United States out of an international nuclear deal with Iran in a step that will raise the risk of conflict in the Middle East, upset America's European allies, and bring uncertainty to global oil supplies. More in this report from Reuters Television.
It is clear to me that we cannot prevent an Iranian nuclear bomb under the decaying and rotten structure of the current agreement.
The move threatens to unravel the signature foreign policy achievement of President Barack Obama, a deal that took years to hammer out. The 2015 agreement brought Iran, the U.S., and 5 world powers together in an accord that lifted sanctions on Tehran in exchange for limits on Iran's nuclear program.
This deal does remind us that when the international community stands as one, we can advance our common security.
In a statement Tuesday, President Obama called Trump's decision misguided and a serious mistake. Trump has long lambasted the nuclear agreement, calling it one of the worst deals ever signed.
The deal does nothing to constrain Iran's destabilizing activities, including its support for terrorism.
Trump on Tuesday signed an order reimposing harsh U.S. sanctions on Tehran that had been lifted as part of the nuclear deal. Shortly after Trump spoke, Iranian state television said the decision to withdraw the United States from the deal was, quote, illegal, illegitimate, and undermines international agreements.
And that's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We are also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Have a fantastic evening.